Welcome to the official Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms live stream. My name is Dylan. You probably know that if you're here because I'm always here. It's Thursday, and this is what I'm always doing at this time on Thursday, unless I'm too ill to come into the office. And so I'm coming to you live from the very wet and rainy Pacific Northwest, Cascadia region of North America, where it was pouring in Victoria when I got here, and it might still be now, but I haven't been outside. But before we begin, I would like to thank Wizards of the Coast and the D&D team for being such wonderful partners for us to work with and for graciously hosting us on this channel each week. All of our favorite shows are here. And we're going to do things a little bit differently than usual. We'll be doing a Q&A, but first we have a special guest, Lauren Urban, whom some of you may recognize from One Grung Above, from Destiny and Doom, from the Dungeons Drunk podcast, as one of twitch.tv/D&D's moderators, as OboeCrazy on Twitter, or maybe even as a real-life bard, member of Seattle's professional classical music scene, playing oboe and English horn. So welcome, Lauren.
I am so excited that my name is a chest code. That might be the nicest thing people have done for me in a very long time.
Oh, yes. It's one of those things where I'm like, when I go to put the chess code in, I'm like, okay, what's 16 characters? And I think about it for a second. Yeah, it worked out perfectly. An OboeCrazy chest. So
there you go.
Yes.
It's like Twitter, except even shorter. It's like they took Twitter and said, no, we don't want to make it longer. We want to make it like the actual sending spell, super short. So
yeah, it's
thank
perfect.
you. I am super flattered.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you. It's really cool to have you on stream because you're always present in chat on I feel like every show, but it seems like most shows you're there. You share so many links so helpfully that it's like you're like the invisible semi-invisible moderator who's always there to make things better. So thanks for that.
Well, thank you. Fortunately, your chat, you've got your own wonderful people who also help answer lots of questions that I can't answer, and I certainly got a lot of support from the other moderators in the D&D community and the Wizards of the Coast people. So if I'm doing an awesome job, it's because I got a lot of people helping me.
Well, yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't also thank Erica, who basically produces this from her desk with her headphones on every week. Doing all the other stuff that I'm not doing. So it's a two-person team here at Codename. I'm just the face that everybody sees every week.
Yeah, it's always a team effort. It's always like yes, I'm the face, but then there's going to be like 12 people behind me doing things. Yeah.
I think the way the rest of the team helps me out is by they all stopped playing Fortnite and using up our internet bandwidth so that I could do the stream and have it work.
Oh no!
That seems the most likely, but they've actually recently begun to win as a team, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we're pretty stoked about that.
Excellent.
Yeah, it seems to be what they're always doing during lunch while the rest of us are playing D&D. So yes,
sounds like a good lunch. I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, either one is good, but I find that the interesting thing about our office lunch D&D is that that's the most consistent D&D that I play. My friend campaign with one of my old friends, it's a nightmare to schedule stuff around life once you hit your like 30s and beyond. It's like, well, I gotta do this with my kids, and then I gotta do this thing, and it's like, okay, when can you meet? So yeah, I think we last played 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't think it's any easier when you're younger. I think it's a little more variable.
Yeah.
And that's honestly just one of the hardest parts about D&D in general is the coordination of a bunch of people. It's just getting everybody together, and because it involves a decent chunk of time, you really need at least like an hour or two. I think you can get away with like an hour or two, although there are some people who will swear by, if I don't have an entire afternoon and a whole pizza, then I can't play D&D. So it makes it difficult, and people have work and lives and stuff. So yeah, that's the hardest part.
Yeah. In this case, my good friend Seath, he just kept moving further and further away. So it's like he's 10 minutes away. Okay, then he moved. He's half an hour away, and then he moved again. Now he's an hour away. It's like, okay, crap. Now it's like it's reached that point where this is a 2-hour round trip to do this on top of whatever time we're gonna get to play.
Yeah.
And a house full of screaming children. So, it's we love doing it, but it's like, oh crap, like just that scheduling is so much more challenging. So
it becomes work. Your joy becomes work. It's like, wait a second. It's supposed to be having fun. This isn't supposed to be like scheduling a work meeting.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. It's kind of funny that way. But at the same time, like when we do actually get to sit down and do it, it's still what it's always been. It's still a blast. So,
yep,
really enjoying that, and just this whole almost like D&D renaissance where over the last few years it's come back in such a big way, and it's such a massive part of so many people's lives. And like I feel like it was always there, but people are really comfortable talking about it and acknowledging it now in a way that they haven't been. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I think D&D, it's had its own renaissance for its own reasons, but I think it's also tied into just the whole geek renaissance, like the fact that the biggest movies out today are comic book movies, and the stuff that we used to love that was the geek thing is now the cool stuff. And whether that's just because those of us that were geeks when we were young have grown up and taken over the world, or you know, a variety of different issues, I think D&D having its this amazing renaissance, as you put it, is just you know, I just spent an hour chatting with people who would never have called themselves geeks about Infinity War, who haven't read a comic book and would never have even thought about it. But you know, that's just, it's in the public zeitgeist now, and it's okay. It's super cool. So,
but still no spoilers, right?
No. I'm trying to avoid saying any spoilers.
It's kind of funny actually, because we have a couple people in the office who still haven't seen it, who are trying to avoid spoilers, and it took no time at all before things were just thrown into conversation online. Like it became a part of popular culture, what felt like faster than previous films had. Yeah. Because the jokes are all tied into it, but they're there and they're really plain, and people aren't intending to be spoilery, but they also, like, you know, the thing about those popular things is everybody wants to be a part of it. So,
and the further away you get from it, different people have different ideas about what is okay to start. You know, is it 2 weeks? Is it a month? Is it 3 months? So everybody starts to have their own idea of what they can start to say. I will say that movie is so thick that it might, with a few small exceptions, it might actually be hard to spoil the whole thing. Like you could spoil the end for sure, but like. Otherwise, there's so much that I think you could spoil like little bits, pieces here and there, and there's just so much going on that it's still cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't want to talk about Infinity War for an hour, although I easily could. Because I read those comics when I was. I read those comics. Like, I was more stoked about it because I grew up on it, and then I'm like, I've been wanting to see this since I was like 10 or whenever those comics came out, like a while ago. It was like 25, 30 years ago, it's like you couldn't spoil the movie because the movie doesn't introduce anything really. Like, you need to have seen at least a few of those films to even just know who people are, you know. Yep. And it's kind of one of those things where it's interesting in that normally it's a criticism of a film when it's not easy to understand how it's all contained in one thing, but by design this one is not a contained film. It relies on 18 or 19 previous films for somebody to get the full effect of it. So it's pretty crazy. You know,
I give Marvel credit for sticking to respecting their audience enough to be like, no, you wouldn't go into Return of the King not having seen the first two movies. You wouldn't see, you know, any of these big trilogies that have been happening. No, you need to have seen at least a majority of these other movies, and we're not going to waste time in what's already a fairly chunky, large movie explaining who everybody is. We're just going to trust that you know, or that you can figure it out as you go along. And I respect that. I think that was one of the strong points of that movie.
Yeah. And, you know, and for the uninitiated, when, you know, Tony Stark calls Doctor Strange a wizard, save the wizard, or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. So
there's a moment. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it. There was another moment, a D&D moment that happened that I want to talk about that I won't. So
there were a lot of great moments in the film.
Yeah.
I actually haven't gone to see it for a second time yet. I was one of those people who's like made sure I got there on the Thursday so that nobody could spoil it. And I had planned to go again, and then just like have been busy. But I'll probably be going and taking my fiance's mom, who loves those kinds of films but was sick with strep throat and couldn't come with us.
Ooh.
We'll go and check it out and you know, nerd out together and talk about it after. But to talk about D&D,
to transition away,
to transition to
other awesome things,
to that other awesome thing that takes up significant portions of our life. How does a concert cellist, or sorry, a concert oboist, get into moderating a D&D Twitch and podcasting, and how did that happen?
That is an excellent question. I've been playing D&D for a very long time, and when the oh geez, all right. So I've been playing for a while, and then I guess how did I get into podcasting is just where did Dungeon Drunks come from? Mm-hmm. So I have a bunch of really good friends from the Rooster Teeth community who I've known now for 12, 13 years, because that community got old. Oh my God, I'm old. And one of my friends who he plays Travancore on Dungeon Drunks. Okay. He started a podcast way back in 2007, 6.
That's ancient history for podcasts.
Really, really super ancient history. And it started as a community podcast. It started as because Rooster Teeth started as this tiny little community, and he started this podcast, and I joined him like a couple months into it, and slowly it was a weekly just talk radio style show, because talk radio was still a thing, and we just chatted about stuff that was happening in the community, stuff that was happening in our lives, popular news, geek stuff. And we picked up we picked up all the other J's on the show. We picked up Jonathan and John and Jules, and for many years, once a week, we'd get together in various configurations and just do this podcast and have a lot of fun. And then Rooster Teeth started doing conventions, and they started doing this big one in Austin every single year called RTX. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that happens every year is there's a group of people who put on a charity event to raise money for Child's Play, kind of in the same way as a lot of people do Extra Life and things like that.
Yeah. And
we were trying to come up with some way to contribute to this charity event, but like a lot of it was crafty stuff. Like my husband's an artist, so he was able to paint something, and a lot of people were knitting things and quilting things and all this other amazing stuff. And oboe doesn't really lend itself well to like, hey, I'll put on a concert for you. Like that's not really something a lot of people are interested in.
Yeah.
But I've been playing a ton of D&D, and this was back in 4th edition when there was still not a lot of D&D out there. It was basically like the random the Ack Inc. games, and where Perkins was going to Penny Arcade and running games, and it was just the audio games. He ran a series of games for the Robot Chicken guys. Like that was all that was really out there, but it proved that like people will watch and listen to other people play D&D. Mm-hmm. And so a bunch of us were like, well, let's put together a little D&D game. We were still looking for stuff to do in the evenings because the convention was only during the day. So I said, I'll run a game. We'll do like a 3-4 hour game. I'll run a one shot, and we'll raffle off at the charity event, like the option for people, hey, put $5 down and you can give somebody a natural 20. If you're the top person to donate, you can come and be the boss monster, and you'll stand next to me and I'll show you all the stats, and you can pick what the monster wants to do.
Huh.
So it was a lot of fun. We raised a couple bucks. The gentleman who won being the boss monster, I showed him like, all right, here's what the monster can do. Who do you want them to attack? All right, here's your D20. Go ahead and roll it and just add this. And he rolled it, and he rolled a nat 20 on his first roll. Oh, I'm like, well, this is amazing. So we were like in a corner of a hotel room. Like we just taken over some lobby space, and there was maybe like 2-3 dozen of us. We raised a little bit of money, but it was a lot of fun. And so we did it again the next year. And so that was like 2013. I'm doing math in my head. So that was 2013. 2014, we came back, and we actually rented a little bit of space at a restaurant and kind of codified exactly what people could donate to and everything. And then we filmed it. And that went super duper well.
Yeah.
And we raised even more money, and more people came. And so people said, well, you should try to get an actual panel at RTX. And so we did. So that was 2015. We actually got a 200-room panel. We got 2 hours in one of the evenings to put on this D&D show. And we filled the room and we raised all this money. And the people in that game, because the first couple of games, it kind of rotated who was in the game. But the people in that game it was Jack and John and Jules and Jack and John and Jules and Jonathan. All my J's. And we got to the end of the game. We had so much fun. We'd raised this money for charity, and it was great. It was awesome. And people throughout the weekend were like, so we know you do this podcast. Are you going to start playing D&D on the podcast? Are you going to start? They like put the two together for us. I'm like, okay, well, we can think about this. And so later on that year, like we got through that and we talked about it. I'm like, I'll run a game. Sure. I'm more than happy to run a game for you guys. 5th edition had just come out, like the play test, the next play test had just finished.
Yeah.
And so we were interested in getting into 5th edition, and because I've been playing 4th for so long. And so we're like, all right, let's give this a try. And so we started, basically the podcast was an excuse for us to keep playing.
Yeah.
And so we started doing the podcast. And then how I ended up with Wizards was like 6 months later, just as things were building up a little bit of steam, Greg Tito tweeted that he was looking for people to go be on Dragon Talk. And did anybody have any suggestions? And my fans, the fans of Dungeon Drunks, were like amazing and tweeted at him and said, you should have the DM. She's right there. She's right in Seattle. Have her on. And so I got to go to Wizards of the Coast, and I got to meet Greg, and I got to meet Shelley, and I got to meet Pelham, and I got to be on Dragon Talk, and it was awesome.
Oh, cool.
And things just kind of snowballed from there. And now I'm here. And now I have a chess code named after
new milestone,
me.
right?
I know, right?
Working your way up.
No, that's it. This is the height of everything, and that's it. So yeah, so basically it just a developing relationship, because they were looking to do a game with Rooster Teeth people. That's how I got into Destiny and Doom, and then I was on the stream, and then it was just like, I'm working with them. I'll just keep working with them. So
yeah, cool.
It was many, many years of serendipitous and many nice people doing very nice things for me.
Yeah, no doubt. That's good though. It seems like, well, I mean, it's weird. Like, it's impossible to talk about it without talking about the way D&D has become more into the popular part of pop culture of late, because it was considered to be such a nerdy thing for such a long time in a negative way. Yeah. And now it's not. People just own it. I've mentioned it a few times, but like my fiance, who now plays, she had no interest when we first got together, and then like I was watching the stage series finale of the last season of Force Grey, and like she got home and I was still watching it because it went way over time.
Like 12 hours.
Yeah.
I think it went on for 3 days or something.
Yeah. And so like a couple hours in, she comes by. I'm like, "What are you watching?" And she's like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "Oh, like," and I explain it. And she sits down, and then by the end, she was way more into it than I was. Like she just like got super invested. Then she's like, "I want to try." I'm like, "Okay, let's do this." So yeah, it's interesting how that shift has happened over the last little while.
Well, and that's been the amazing thing about like Critical Role and Dice Camera Action and these people who are playing in public, who are basically performing but playing. Is it's D&D has always been a little difficult to explain. It's amazing and I love it, but it's not the easiest thing to grasp if you don't, without some explanation. But it's a lot easier to just watch, and people kind of intuitively understand, oh, all right, this is like cooperative storytelling kind of things. And once you're watching it and you see people that are that invested in their characters, that are improvising, that are having fun together, even if you don't really understand what's going on, even if you don't know what the dice is or know what the rules are or how things are happening, watching other people have that kind of fun gives you that, I want to know more about this thing. And so that's been a boon. And then of course they're just, especially the Critical Role guys and the Dice Camera Action, all the people on the Wizards channel, they're just such amazing performers and funny people that it's pro level D&D, if that sounds, and so now like you're seeing everything that is good about this game, and I'm not surprised that everybody's like, that I want to do that. That looks like fun, you know. It's a lot easier than in the 80s when people are like, that's the devil.
Yeah, the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like a little kid when that happened, but I still remember it happening. I remember it being on the news and thinking, I'm like, that's weird, and then like trying D&D in high school, as one does. Yeah, it's funny actually. We have some Lauren specific questions coming in. I don't know if you caught any of them or if they've been raffled away at different times.
I have not, because I'm super bad actually at being in chat at the same time when I'm being on streams. So.
No, that's fair. I'm not really engaging with chat right now, but Erica is luckily capturing questions, so I have another window where her messages just pop up. It's like, oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, the first one is from Tolwyn, who wants to know if you have any must-pick DMs Guild products you recommend with the Platinum sale going on.
Ooh.
I didn't even know they had a sale, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know they had a sale either. Now I'm going to have to go take a look. Xanathar's Lost Notes. Or Xanathar's Guide to Everything Else, the one that Rudy Rutenberg and Team Phoenix, there's like 12 people who contributed to that thing. It's amazing.
Yeah. I heartily recommend that one as well.
Yeah, it's huge and it's worth every penny. And the people that worked on that work on all kinds of other professional products. So the only difference between what you're getting on DM's Guild and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes that is going to be coming out is that it's just on DM's Guild, and it's not an official Wizards of the Coast product. But like the amount of stuff that's in that thing is really good, as both for players and for DMs. So yeah, if you got to get one thing, I'd get that. James Hake has a bunch of stuff on there that I'd highly recommend. If you don't know who he is, he worked on the Critical Role campaign guide, the Tal'Dorei campaign guide.
The setting with Matt Mercer, yeah.
The setting, yeah. And he's working with Matt Colville he's writing the adventure for the Strongholds rules that he's putting out, that he did his big Kickstarter on. So I'd look for anything from him. That
insane Kickstarter.
Yeah. Well, once again, proof that D&D is a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like that is just it's just a thing. So yeah, I check out those two things. Both of those, thumbs up.
Yeah, I really it's funny because I haven't managed to I want to play a number of the subclasses that are in Xanathar's Lost Notes, because they are diving into some rich new territory in terms of design with some of the things. I think it was the Red Reaver Barbarian was the one where it spends hit dice in combat, or sorry, it's just stuff like that, and like just trying to adjust it. That seems like it could be really interesting.
Yeah, they take advantage in some of those subclasses of things like hit dice that kind of get left by the wayside in a lot of games.
Yeah.
And they put some interesting mechanical stuff on top of them that are, even if you don't end up using any of those subclasses, even if you want to stick with the ones that are official, I highly recommend it just for all of the ideas that it can give you.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, this one's good. The .dk. Hi, Lauren. Do you have any advice for a girl who would love to DM for the first time?
Do it. Okay, they probably want a more comprehensive answer. Yeah, so the easy answer is get the starter set. The box starter set, it includes an excellent adventure that is easy for first-time DMs to run and yet is still a really good adventure. It has pre-generated characters, so if you're running for new people, it makes it super easy. It literally has everything you need in it, and the adventure that's in there, Lost Mines of Phandelver, is an outstanding adventure that is specifically written for people who are new to DMing, and it walks you through everything. Or if you don't need the whole starter set, if you've already got some of the books, or if you've already got some materials, just go get yourself a short adventure or like a one shot or something, and just give it a try. It looks intimidating, it looks scary, and you'll mess up and it'll be okay. You'll totally be okay, because the secret to being a DM is that without you, the players don't get to play, and they won't complain when you mess up, because they're just grateful that you're there. And everyone is super understanding. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about the rules. Don't worry about reading everything and having everything memorized. Just like find yourself a good adventure that you're excited about running, and really just go for it. That's really the best advice I could give. I mean, if someone has more specific questions, like how do I or what do I, but when it just comes to how do I DM, you just sit down and you smile at your friends and go, okay, so here we are. But yeah, the starter set I highly recommend, or finding yourself like a one shot. Don't feel like you have to go buy Curse of Strahd and spend the next 3 weeks getting ready to run a tome, or creating a world and an epic campaign and doing all that. Get yourself the basics that you need, and just get some pizza and have some fun.
Yep. Yeah, I always I bring booze for my DM. Makes him happy.
Yes. Unless I'm driving, I highly recommend. Yeah. Yes. Or tea.
This one is a question that I was going to ask in a bit, so it seems like a great segue. Route Jarvie, ask Lauren if there's going to be a second season of Destiny and Doom. Everyone who hasn't seen it should go watch it after the stream. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I have no idea. I would love for there to be, but with that said, we are wonderful people in very different parts of the world, and very busy people. I mean, especially Mika just moved to LA and is doing all kinds of acting stuff. Kraken just got involved with a couple of his friends doing a big streaming thing. They basically created their own streaming co-op, I guess you could call it. Dante is every other day in another corner of the world doing speaking engagements and awesome things.
Oh wow.
And if Jack has the chance, he's either watching space shuttles or SpaceX or building awesome Lego things. So like all those people have other jobs and they've got all these other hobbies that they do. I would love to DM again and DM those people. We had a lot of fun. At the moment, there are no plans, but that doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. So thank you.
Okay, well we'll cross our fingers and roll some natural 20s for you, trying to get that to happen.
I'd appreciate that.
Let's see. Oh, we got a follow up to the last one. What's your favorite beverage for proper drunken D&D shenanigans?
Well, if we're gonna go drunken, then it's either I'm a big fan of Pyramid Beer, which is it's a local brew here in Seattle.
I know it.
Yeah, their Hefeweizen is outstanding. Really like it. If it's not beer, then either I'm kind of just a fan of vodka and tea, or I had some really nice bourbon. I know nothing about bourbon, really. Like, I know bourbon is a thing that it's like wine. You need to know a lot about it, and I don't. But I got recommended some Bullet bourbon, and it's excellent, and I love that. But honestly, like I do a lot of tea and a lot of water. I'm also one of those people, especially when DMing a show called Dungeon Drunks, and where I might have some alcohol with me, but I'm also doing for every sip of alcohol, I'm taking 3 sips of something non-alcoholic because.
Yeah, it would be easy to end your podcast early.
There have been a couple of games that are very heavily edited because of someone. The games went super long and we just had a lot of fun, and you know what, if it had been a home game that wasn't being recorded for posterity, it would have been hilarious, but it was being recorded and needed to be at least understandable. So yeah. But yeah, lots of tea.
It's funny because my DM and I, we always just like, it's whiskey mostly. Whiskey or beer, but mostly whiskey. So it's like, what bottle are we doing this week? We're doing this. Oh, okay. And it's just, yeah.
I also am a super lightweight. As much as I am the DM for Dungeon Drunks, I am an incredible lightweight. So if I have to drive or if I have to play oboe, I'm not drinking.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. I couldn't imagine trying to play a musical instrument while inebriated.
Or just like a tiny little bit, like I'm really just a cheap date. As my husband will tell you, it's super cheap. So I can't.
Fair enough. Let's see. They brought up Dungeon Drunks, or Destiny and Doom, and I was going to do that. So now I'm trying to think of where my brain was at. What was I going to segue into after that? Probably Stream of Many Eyes. But I don't know what we can say about Stream of Many Eyes, because the first rule of Soam Club is you don't talk about Soam Club. I
think
we're
going
to be there.
Yes, we're both going to be there.
That's about as far as we can probably take it.
Absolutely.
Because I don't actually really know what a lot of the programming is. It seems like it's coming together.
People should definitely go to dnd.wizards.com/SOME and check out Stream of Many Eyes, and they can see all of the official stuff about the live stream extravaganza.
I'm curious to see it. It's going to be interesting being there instead of just watching it on my computer while I'm working or something. But I'm excited. We're making the trip down to LA for it, so.
Yeah, I've never been to LA. I'm excited.
Oh, no? Oh.
No, I've been to a bunch of different cities in California, but never LA. So.
Yeah, it's I don't know what else to describe it as. It's very LA. It's a sprawl. Like, I know that, like, thinking back to like Cyberpunk and like Shadowrun and all that stuff, and like how they always refer to the Pacific Northwest as the sprawl, because like Vancouver to Seattle and all that stuff is the sprawl. But LA is a real one where, you know, you have tens of millions of people spread out over a fairly large distance, and it's just like freeways attaching everything together. Like, it's kind of trippy. When we were there for TwitchCon last year, Clive and I, it's like, okay, we need to catch an Uber to the event, and it's like 30-40 minute drive down the highway from the hotel, and yeah, it's LA is a real sprawl, but the weather's nicer. The people, for some reason, seem to be on average more attractive than just about anywhere else. I think that's the whole LA Hollywood thing, just like pulls all the people there. Because just everywhere you're turning, like, oh, everybody's real pretty. You just kind of like do up your jacket. Yeah, but it's cool. And there's tons of great food. There's tons of things worth seeing. So if you have extra time while you're there, maybe you could convince Rudy or Satine to take you around. But there's a lot to see and do there. There's so much. More than any 1 or 2 or 10 trips could probably cover. So
my guess is the entire time I'm there, I'm going to be pretty busy with the stream. But
that's true. Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah. Well, when we were there for TwitchCon, Clive was there with me, and he took an extra like couple days. He's like, I'm going to use up some vacation time to stay and, you know, catch and check out this beach and check out this. I'm like, that's a good idea. I'm going to fly home and sleep. So. Yeah.
Nope, that's a smart way of doing it. But I might not have the money or time to be like, okay, I'm going to, you know, just hang out in LA for a little while. So. Yeah. We'll see. I'm not complaining, though. I'm excited to go.
No, it's going to be cool. I mean,
even if all I do is spend the entire time on a soundstage, I'm happy.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a good soundstage, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. We have a couple more questions. I don't know how to say that name because it's got a whole bunch of numbers in it. But somebody's asking, what is the hardest thing to do in the Dungeon Drunks podcast?
Coordinating and making sure all the audio sounds good. Like, as far as, I don't know if they're asking specifically about the game or about it's the technical hurdles. It always is. Once we start playing and once we know that everybody's microphone is recording and everyone sounds good and like all of the technical stuff is okay, like, playing is playing. I love these people. They are incredibly good friends. They're amazing players, and that's super easy. That's the joy. Yeah. But yeah, making all the technical hurdles. There are a couple of episodes in our Pantheon where there's just, we haven't lost an episode yet, fingers crossed, but there's a couple episodes in where audio from somebody or several somebodies gets all fukaka'd. There's been issues with scheduling, and where, because we do try to stick to we're gonna release every single Monday, and that's how you build an audience, is that kind of predictability. So yeah, it's all the technical stuff that sucks. Playing is fun.
Do you use like a multi-channel mixer and everything and record separately for each person, or do you do it all at once? We record separately, but it's not a multi-channel mixer. Everybody just, because we're in 6 different
parts or 5 different parts of the world.
Okay, I was wondering about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we do not live. So I'm here. We've got one of our players is in Canada, is in the Montreal area.
Yep.
We've got someone in Philly. We've got someone in Texas and someone in Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah, that's like 5 fingers spread out across North America, basically.
And 3 different time zones, and yeah, so.
Wow.
We all connect using, we actually use Discord for our video so that we can see each other and talk to each other.
Yeah.
And then everybody just has Audacity running on their machine and they record their individual audio.
Okay,
and then
cool.
they send me, they export that as an MP3 and send it to me.
Yeah.
And then I import all the audio and do all of the editing from there.
Wow. That does sound like work.
It is. It's. But you know what? It's the same labor of love of trying to coordinate everybody, and it's the same labor of love that any of the other. There's the podcast of foes that's going on, and all those people do all the same stuff. It'd be wonderful if we could all be in the same place. That's why RTX continues to be such a special event, is because we do these live games, but then also we get to. It's kind of the one chance we get to all be in the same room and play.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
As much as technology has made playing D&D across the world easier, it will never replace throwing dice in front of the person that you love playing with.
Yeah. Looking at them when they're acting something out or what have you. Cool.
Yep. And then we use Roll20 for like the basics, mostly for dice rolling and a little bit of player coordination. We do mostly theater of the mind stuff. The dice rolling on Roll20 is not because I totally trust them. If we were to be rolling just on our own tables, I totally trust them to give me the correct numbers.
Yeah.
But I really like when somebody rolls, everybody else gets to react.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's an integral part to playing D&D is if someone rolls a natural 20, that you don't have to wait for them to say it's a natural 20. Like everyone's it on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just thinking back to our office campaign, because our bard got to cast Fireball for the first time.
Ooh.
Which is a nice milestone to hit. And I just remember Alexis like going to pick up the dice and she reads it. She's like, I get to use this many D6s, and she like picks them all up in her hands and she's like, awesome. Yep. And then proceeds to blow up a whole bunch of stuff all at once. So
it's the best.
Yeah, there's something really tactile about that part that feels good. And plus you get addicted to buying dice, it seems like. So
I have I'm weird about dice. I don't have any of those. Like, do you let people touch your dice? Do you
Absolutely
have any?
Not.
No. Okay. See, I don't care.
If one of my friends forgot their dice, they can use mine. But otherwise, no.
I have none of those hang-ups. They're just dice. They're random. I don't have dice jail. For many years, I used the same set of dice for everything. I was DMing for a while, and in my home game, I switched to playing because we rotate through DMs, and people freaked out that I was using the same dice that I DM'd with. They're like, you can't do that.
Well, that seems awfully superstitious, but...
No, people are super superstitious, but like I have, and then my husband, he spoiled me many years ago, and at a PAX he actually bought me a set of metal dice.
Oh, nice.
Like real nice. They're just silver dice, the sterling silver dice, but they're super heavy and I love them, and I've been basically using them for years for everything. And then just recently some friends bought me from Level Up Dice, they got me an aluminum set and a stone set, so I now have 3 sets of dice that sit over there and
a
don't
couple
get
of them set off metal detectors if you have to go through the airport.
Oh well, I got the oboe, so I got other things I gotta
I guess that's true.
The oboe is its own.
I've read a lot of horror stories about musicians taking instruments on flights, actually.
I'm super lucky in where my oboe and my English horn are small enough to be considered carry-ons. I still, long before 9/11, had to show up to airports 2.5 hours early because I get stopped at security every single time. Because a lot of people don't know what an oboe is. And if I have the English horn, I had one woman, she was looking at the instrument because they always pull me out and they're like, what is it? And I tell them the same thing. I'm like, you can look at everything. It's not like it's totally fragile. I mean, you know, it's pretty thick wood and metal. And so I tell them, you're welcome to touch anything, you're welcome to look at anything. I'll pull things out for you, whatever you need, I'll put it together. All I ask is that you be a little careful because it's a $6,000 instrument. And usually if I tell them the amount, they'll be a little careful.
Yeah.
But they were swabbing down the English horn because, you know, you have to, I guess.
Yeah.
And I asked one of the women, this is like a decade ago, so what is it that you actually see that makes you nervous? Like, you know, what does this look like to you? Because it's obviously not a bomb. What is it? And she goes, oh, it looks like one of those high-powered rifles that you pull apart and put in a case. Like,
oh. Fair enough.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the dice are easy.
Yeah. In comparison, no doubt.
Huh. Yeah. But I still have it way easier than people who have instruments that they can't bring on the plane. I have cellist friends and bass friends and even some viola friends, bassoon friends, people who, flying is a literal nightmare for their instruments.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I every once in a while you read a story about one and you're like, oh God, that sounds horrible.
Yep.
That was probably an instrument worth hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. And yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. And even if it's not, they are super difficult to replace. It's not like you could just go down to Walmart and buy an oboe, you know? Yeah. Like it takes a while, and if it's a wood instrument, you have to break it in. So yeah, it's a nightmare. Mm-hmm. I want to go hug my oboe now.
Yeah, yeah. On the concept of nightmares. No, I'm kidding. An Hour to Kill had a follow-up about your comment about bourbon, saying that Las Vegas Distillery has a rye this year that is excellent and almost tastes like a bourbon.
Ooh, okay. Las Vegas Distillery?
Las Vegas Distillery. That's their recommendation for your next Dungeon Drunks, or Drunken Dungeon Drunks run.
I'll look into it the next time I'm at Total Wine, see if they have it.
Yeah. But to what we are speaking about, one of the people, Eugene Gadir, do musicians ever just ship their instruments separately?
Yes, especially when it comes to harps, the really big guys. A lot of percussionists.
Harps get big.
Yeah, and those are they cost a down payment on a house. Or they cost a house. They can cost a house. Yeah, it's mostly like the really, really big stuff. But in general, what happens is they end up having to be put under the plane as luggage. Yeah. And you just have to
pray. Hope.
Yeah, there are travel cases for a lot of those big instruments and hard cases, and you can get insurance. And a good airline will take good care of it and will be cautious with it. And even a good airline will just sometimes have a mistake, and that's like that's the hard part, is like handing your instrument over to somebody else is always like pretty much I only trust my husband with my instrument, and even then I'll hand it to him and do whatever I need to do, and then I will take it back. Like it's so ingrained. Yeah. So,
which is funny because when you think about it, most people are like half willing to like toss their small child at their friend, like, here, hold my baby, I gotta do this.
Because a small child, even a baby, can kind of defend themselves.
And they bounce a little bit.
If the baby gets hurt, the baby will cry, and then everybody knows something has gone wrong. And it's horrible. And I'm not saying that like hurt baby is way worse than hurt instrument. I can always replace my oboe. You can't replace a baby. But like if the oboe is being held in the wrong way, the oboe can't cry.
It's true. Although you could describe the next sound it makes as crying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Phonics 48. Do D&D musicians fight over who gets to play the bard?
You know, I avoided playing a bard for almost a decade because I didn't want to be cliche. No, seriously, I was just like, I can't be the bard. Everyone's going to expect me to be the bard, and it'll just be stupid. I shouldn't be a bard. So no, a lot of the time, like, you know, we play D&D the same way everybody does. It's to play something, it's to do something that you couldn't normally do. Mm-hmm. It's only been very recently that I've allowed myself to dip into bard and enjoy some bard fun. But no, I literally avoided bards for many, many years because I'm like, everyone's gonna expect it.
Fair enough. It's kind of, I mean, you never want to do what people are expecting necessarily, but like when I read a question like that, I think to myself, I'm like, I would never play a bard on purpose. And like, yes, I played one for the Extra Life stream that we did at the end of last year, but that character sheet was handed to me, and I was one of the last people to pick. So it's like, your choice is between these two. I'm like, well, I don't want to just play a fighter, so I guess I'll take the other one. Not to talk down about fighters, but I just they tend to be like, this is what you do, and it's like you get pointed at something, and then you attack it until it dies, which is not as often how I like to play a game. Whereas a bard, it's like you can seduce that thing. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I'll try that out. Why not?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me, but yeah, let's do it.
No, bards are awesome. Don't get me wrong, especially 5th edition bards. I mean, all you have to do is watch Scanlan to know the bards are amazing.
I feel like they might be too good. Lore bards, spells, getting all the spells, so many spell slots, being able to do everything at the same time. It's just, oh man, bards.
It's hard to not look at bards or druids when they get super powerful and be like, they're OP, man. They can do everything. Yeah. But you look at, say, that fighter that you're talking about, or a barbarian, one of the a class that is very focused, and the things, it's kind of like the bed versus the futon.
Yeah,
futon is awesome. It can do a lot of things, but the bed does one thing incredibly well, you know. And Grog, no, was he a charmer? Was he a, could he talk his way out of everything? Did he have any spells? No. But when he hit things, they died. Yeah. And when he wanted to not die, he didn't die. Like, the few things he could do, no one could beat him at. So it's versatility versus
rage, damage resistance, and ultra high amounts of HP nonsense. It's like, you get thrown off a cliff. It's cool. I live. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I climb back up and I kill it. Yeah. I kill the cliff and the person that threw me off it.
Exactly. So it's just how you feel like playing and what your character is. They're all awesome.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I don't know if you keep like a catalog of just like NPC ideas and character ideas that you just kind of like keep filling up with stuff as you think of things. But like I tend to do that a lot. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to play that one, or I don't know if it's going to be an NPC, because I've also been nominated to we're going to take a break on our office lunchtime D&D because one of our coworkers is going on vacation to Disneyland for a couple of weeks.
For a couple of weeks? Wow.
Well, I don't think the whole couple of weeks is at Disneyland, but he's just like, I'm going to Disneyland, and he's like, I'm not going to be back for like 16 days. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That sounds like a lot of time going off Splash Mountain, but he's going to head off, and then one of our other players is like, because of that, I'm going to take a break because she plays D&D all the time, and so I got nominated to do the interim campaign, and I haven't DM'd in a very long time. I'm pretty sure it was like 2003, 2004 the last time I did it. So
it'll be great.
I feel like if it were another edition of D&D other than 5e, I might be worried about how much I need to get ready for it. But with 5e, I'm like, no, this is way more straightforward than it has been in the past. I can do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just
another reason why there's been this resurgence of people playing is because it's super easy to get into nowadays. You don't have to worry about THAC0.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, actually, when Scott Fitzgerald Gray was on a few weeks ago, we were talking about older D&Ds, and I was like, yeah, nobody misses THAC0. Not that it was the worst thing ever.
People who are lying.
Yeah, but nobody misses it. Sorry. Let's see. An Hour to Kill says, speaking of bards, one of my players is rolling a turtle bard with a washboard for an instrument, which doubles as light armor. Thoughts?
My thoughts are, that's amazing, and I want to be that person.
Yeah. So
oh
it's
my
just
god, that's amazing.
On the front of their shell.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. And then like doing some percussion on the back. Oh, that's the best. I love it.
That's clever.
That's great.
Yeah.
Can I steal that idea? I'm stealing that idea. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, you already said it, but I might write it down as well because that's a good one.
Yes.
It's funny because turtles are still so new, I guess, in a way, at least to 5e.
That's what you should buy. I don't know if it's on sale because it's technically for charity, but hey, while you're on DM's Guild, buy the Turtle package.
Yes,
package.
There's a Turtle package. Yeah.
Yes, and it's all the proceeds. A lot of money goes to charity, so you should definitely get turtles.
Yeah, and they're neat, and you get a lot of AC, which is helpful. I don't know. AC seems helpful to a lot of classes that don't get it normally. Yeah. So, yeah, it's very cool. I want so much to talk about Stream of Many Eyes.
No.
And I also want to talk about Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, but I guess that's still a couple weeks away. Although people copies will probably be arriving to some people in the next couple weeks, right? Week or two?
Yeah. And
usually.
If you're listening to, well, they did a whole bunch of previews with the Dome of Foes. They were doing
yeah, all the different of Foes things they've been doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dungeon Drunks is participating in Podcast of Foes, which started this Monday. If you subscribe to the Dungeon Delve feed, which is Wizards of the Coast official feed for D&D podcasts.
Yeah.
It's mostly been like Dice Camera Action, but also some other stuff has gotten housed there. There were about 20 different podcasts that we all got Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes early so that we could create one-shots to go on the Dungeon Delve feed to highlight a whole bunch of different podcasts, to highlight a whole bunch of different monsters. Of the episodes that have gone up so far, there's been 2 a day and nobody's picked the same stuff yet.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people have been doing games that are with the characters that they currently have. Some of the podcasts have been creating brand new characters for the one-off.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been super good. And our episode went up on Tuesday, so you can hear what Dungeon Drunks did if you subscribe to that.
That's cool. I can check that out. I didn't even realize the that list of monsters is staggering.
Yes.
And,
as a DM, that is my favorite part of that book.
My favorite book is just how much writing is in it. That's like I love the list of monsters. It's really wonderful. Because we can, some of them have been used in our Office campaign, and I haven't mentioned them in any of our recaps because I can't. But it's never more tools for the toolbox is always welcome.
Absolutely.
But I find that for me personally, the overwhelming amounts of background knowledge that you can get from some of these books does more for me in thinking about characters and motivations and coming up with stuff than just stat sheets do for something else that's scary, or characters somewhat lower challenge rating monsters that have legendary actions and layers, and I look at them on my paper and I'm like, I feel like this thing might just kill everybody at that level. I'm very curious to see how that goes.
But half the fun is I always underestimate my players. I always think, oh, this is gonna be a really hard fight, and then they decimate things.
Yeah, that's true.
I love taking monsters that should be either out of their league or way easy for them and tweaking stuff so that they can, this is a adult dragon, but they were injured in a previous fight. And so it's something that you can fight. Or here's a whole bunch of kobolds, but here's an army of them. Or coming up with role-playing reasons why this monster, which wouldn't be a problem, should be. It helps keep things fresh, because otherwise you can feel like you're stuck in, well, my players are this level, and so I can only grab things from challenge rating this to this. Yeah. When in reality, you can grab
do whatever you want. Actually, it's they might get mad if you throw a Tarrasque at them right away, but in the right context.
Only if their job is to kill the Tarrasque and they're level 3. I mean, that's unfair, but maybe they don't have to kill it. Maybe something else is going on. So
actually, on that note, as a DM, have you ever thrown elements into your story hoping that your players won't engage with it? It's there for flavor and for setting and to make something interesting, but you're like, I really hope my players don't just attack that, because that would be bad. Almost it's not like putting a red button in front of them, but putting something in where you're there's an element of risk to how it could turn out for the party, just by having something present.
Yes, but I always expect things to go horribly wrong and for them to attack it. Yeah. I have Dungeon Drunks is pretty good. My players there are pretty good about coming at problems and not being murder hobos initially, but they are also players, and when in doubt they will hit it with a sword. And I've certainly had my home game, especially a lot of the people that I've played with are hit first and ask questions later. So if if there is something that I intentionally put in a game, I fully expect at any point that my players might try to murder it.
Yeah.
And so I at least try to be ready for some eventualities. If it is something that is way out of their league, I'll come up with, all right, if they attack them, what will this creature do? What makes sense for this thing to do? What, alternatives. And some of it may simply be, all right, well, if they decide to attack the dragon that they really shouldn't and has given them every indication that they really should be running away, this is what the dragon will do so that I don't have to slaughter them.
Although on the inside you're like, but it might be fun.
Yeah. There's definitely, I haven't done it with monsters, but I've definitely put stuff in front of my players hoping that they'd play with it because it could cause issues.
Yeah.
Role-playing issues, fun things, all in good fun.
PDX Ace wants to know what the funnest setting you like to run is. Like, is it outdoor? And they describe it as like outdoors, dungeons, or towns. But I think I would expand that to what about campaign settings or planes or what have you as well? Like, what direction do you like to lean in for those kinds of things?
As far as like campaign settings, I am a fan of Forgotten Realms. I am a fan of Faerun and the Sword Coast and all that. And it's mostly because, like, I know a lot of the criticism of that is that there's so much out there. But that's my favorite thing to do, is to take all that stuff out there and be like, all right, I'm going to cherry pick this and this and this because, oh my God, I don't feel like coming up with all of Waterdeep and a road system. But then I just come up with my own stuff in between. So my version, and I highly recommend people to do this, like, just because you have the Sword Coast Adventures Guide and have all the maps to all the towns and know where everything is, doesn't mean your version of the Sword Coast has to conform to all of that. I mean, in Dungeon Drunk's Red Larch is a ruin. It got totally destroyed. It's off the map. So, like, you can do anything you want in your world. And so what I like about it is because there is so much lore, it makes it easy for me to cherry pick the stuff that I have a hard time coming up with and be like, well, I have no idea. Like, governments are not my thing. Give me a government I could just steal.
Yeah.
As far as, like, inside of a campaign, I like variety. I like my players to have a homish base and then to be able to go out from there. And they've been in Waterdeep actually for quite a while now, but I made sure at one point they were in the Undermountain. Yeah. They just gone on a big road trip out into the wilderness. So I think they and I both get bored if we stay in one place for too long.
Yeah.
So they'll eventually end up somewhere else.
Huh. Are there any settings that you've wanted to try that you just haven't gotten to yet? Because, I mean, it seems like there's always one more,
Yeah. I don't want to do a long-term thing there, but I have really fond memories of Dark Sun from 4th edition. I really miss playing my Thri-kreen. And while I don't think it's something that I could do for very long, because I'm not, like, that is an oppressive setting. That is a survival-heavy, oppressive, difficult, nasty setting. There's not a ton of humor in it except for, like, gallows humor.
Yeah.
But it's such a fascinating world, and it's so different than the standard medieval fantasy that we see, that the little bit that I got to play in it in 4th edition I loved, and I would love to revisit that at some point, but for my personal taste it would have to be something short.
Fair enough. It's funny, I find that I talk about Dark Sun a lot to people. It's almost like it left an indelible impact.
It's such a huge, like, it's so, yeah. It's
very well realized. And
yeah.
And I was describing it to somebody today who hadn't played it, and I was kind of describing it as, I'm like, well, it's kind of Mad Max, but it's more that all the things that it picked to bring together click in a really good way. Like, it feels unique. It's very interesting. I think Eric, our CEO, has mentioned that it's his favorite setting as well. It's awesome. I mean, I'm always Eberron at heart because I like robots, but it's so, like, Warforged are totally my thing. But Dark Sun is such a good setting. It's Yeah, it's fantastic.
See, and for me, if they ever came out with like an official Warforged, even if they don't put out that campaign setting, but if they, because that was the other thing about fourth edition is by the end of it, there were like 50 different races that you could be.
There was a lot.
There was an amazing amount, and I'm all for players having an abundance of choices. So if they ever did come out with a Warforged, I'd put it in my campaign if someone wanted to play it, even if it was, you know, in the middle of Neverwinter. It's like,
I think they threw Warforged into one of the Unearthed Arcanas.
Yeah.
I have no idea how that one plays, but it looked interesting.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That one, and I like the Artificer. The UA stuff has been really nice. But I'm always a little worried about using it officially because right now my Ranger in Dungeon Drunks is using the Unearthed Arcana Beastmaster Ranger.
Yeah.
Because and the problem is we use things like D&D Beyond, and so it's constantly reconciling the differences between what we have on a PDF versus, you know, when we look things up or in a book or anything. So it's always good when that stuff comes out officially because it makes all the digital life a little bit easier.
Yeah. I just realized that it's 2:00 already, and I want to be conscious of your time. So I guess the last question I should ask is, who is your favorite idle champion?
Ooh, who is my favorite? All right, well, I have some amazing gear on Celeste, so she ends up in everything that I do. So the champion that just came out,
Catti-brie?
Yeah. Just a couple of weeks ago, someone gave me a gift card of Steam money. So I've been holding on to the gift card for a little while now, and so I finally spent it on a whole bunch of her chests. And so now she's pretty well geared out.
Nice.
And I really like that. But as far as like a character goes, I'm gonna go with Ashara because Aarakocra are awesome.
Fair enough. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for like all you contribute to the D&D community. It's a lot, and it's noticed. So thanks for doing it. It's really appreciated.
It's super fun, and there are other moderators out there, and D&D is behind us all, and I couldn't do it without their help. So I am always happy to help.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on, and have a pleasant and awesome rest of your day.
I'm just gonna go back into the chat. I mean, I'm here.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then stay for the end of the show. It's going to get super interesting, as I think I'm going to be trying to do the last variant of the event, the Catti alone. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm waiting another round or two on doing the free play to try to get her as max geared as possible before I attempt that. So
I'm going to just do it with what she's got now. She's got some rares. I don't know.
There you go.
We'll see if it's all right. If I can't do it with what she's got right now, then Justin probably didn't tune it right. So, no, I'm kidding.
You'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, and we'll chat again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Okay. What was I doing? I think I'm going to end this one prematurely because I think, do I have enough? I have enough to start the next thing. It's a 5,000 one, right? Yeah. All right. Let's do this. I feel like I have enough favor. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I didn't do a Q&A to start this. And there's a raffle going on right now, so I'm going to kind of do a little bit of catch up now, since I usually do a lot of Q&A right at the start. We did a subreddit Q&A yesterday, and in it I included the roadmap that we've kind of very loosely have together, which I should state. I mean, I note on there that it's not in order of priority and everything can change, but I really do want everybody to take it with a grain of salt, because being an indie gaming company and having a team as small as ours, priorities can change really easily. And there's all kinds of new things that can shift things around and make it change. So these are very general, but like, just to go over the list quickly, the offline gold gain update is being worked on. Mark has mentioned it in our meetings. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to be ready this week or next week. I'm not quite sure what the ETA is going to be on it, but like, it is absolutely something that is being worked on. And I know that it's been something requested pretty much since the game came out, and I know that some players wondered why we hadn't done it already. It seems like it's a relatively easy thing to put together, but we have complicated the game quite a bit more over the course of it, and because of the way that a lot of these mechanics interact, putting together an accurate offline gold gain that works is something that has been taking a little more time and requires a lot of testing to make sure that we have it right before we roll it out. So, when there's news about that, I will share it. I will not hold that one back. The same goes in a sort of way for the tanking and healing update and the champion balancing updates. We get a lot of requests about Krond, first and foremost, but also a number of other champions that players wish were better for them. Like Arcan, people talking about how they don't like Arcan because he's a great tank in a game where you don't tank with anybody other than Naily, and you always have Naily in front anyways because of the buff and so on. There are pretty large scale plans being chipped away at slowly, I should say, instead of worked on at full force. Like, there are large scale plans about how to address a lot of these issues in some pretty massive sweeping updates, and hopefully I will be able to share a little bit more about that in the coming weeks, just because there are some things that we're not ready to talk about yet, but we will be soon, about how we plan to start tackling some of these bigger changes. So just thank you so much, everyone, for being so patient with us so far. We will get to it. The last quality of life update that we did was not the only one we're going to do. We are going to be doing many more and trying to keep everything coming together. What else? Leaving early access. So some of our more observant fans will notice that our last title is still in early access, and they question whether or not Idle Champions is going to come out of early access, and it is. It definitely is. I don't have an ETA on it, but what I can say is that we have a number of milestones that we want to reach that we can't share, but like, we have some internal milestones that we want to get through. That's my phone ringing on the desk. Before we come out of early access, but it is going to happen. So yes, I really look forward to that too, because that's going to be, I think, a significant event for us. Like, that's a real milestone for the community and for the game. And like, we have some pretty exciting discussions about how some of these things will come together. So, it never hurts to ask when we're going to leave early access, but it's definitely one of those things where when there's information I can share, I will. The same thing sort of goes for the next campaign, because obviously, if you look at the screen right now, up in the corner here, we have Grand Tour of the Sword Coast, Tomb of Annihilation, and then the running event. This flag is going to get longer with another event, another campaign this year. But we aren't ready to share anything about it yet, for several reasons. One of which being, no, actually, even saying that part would probably get me in a world of trouble. We really want to talk about it when we can. We can't yet, but it's coming this year, sooner rather than later. So yeah, we're really stoked about it, and we also think that players are going to be really excited for it, not just for more blessings and global blessings, but also because it'll be an exciting campaign as well. So I usually give a bit of an update in the subreddit Q&A about when the next update related to the game is going to be. Now, we don't tend to do content updates while an event is running. We might do some kind of weekend buff, but for the most part we try to keep events and content updates separate. So the next update is going to be a content update. Yes, it's not going to come out until after the running is done. And on a similar note, upcoming champions, people are always asking. I'm sure if I look over at the list of questions that Erica has been capturing, there'll be at least one about Deacon Scalesinger in there. Yes, there is, from Money's Worth 1. Speaking of kobolds, Deacon Wen. Not soon. So the thing about adding champions to the game is that there are a lot of characters we want to add. There are so many, and quite a few we want to add are not necessarily already owned by Wizards of the Coast. So those require, let's just say, a lot. They require a lot behind the scenes. And the list of reasons why is too long to get into, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble or anything. But let's just say that there's a lot of stuff that goes into making that happen. And this is going to be interesting. Catti alone. All right, I'm doing it. So yeah, like, there are a lot of characters we'd like to get to, and we'll get there. Do I at least get a... Oh, I get a faster attack speed. Okay. Can I use familiars? I can. That should make this easier. You know, I don't really like that fairy. I'm going to use the Chewinga and the Pseudo Dragon. If anybody's wondering why you should use familiars, this is a good example. This will help me get this rolling so I can keep going through this. What else is on there? Yeah, I guess the other most asked about things that we get are things related to unlocking and equipping champions outside their events, which we have plans underway for putting that together, but we don't have anything to share about it yet. And familiars. So familiars are obviously a recent feature to the game. I am using them right now because they allow me to cheese things like this, because they'll just murder everything. Catti's not really alone. She's got 5 familiars helping her. And since she's going to be the only champion, I might as well put a familiar on her, leveling her once this gets going. So familiars are, I would describe it as fresh new territory for us, in that we had some things that we wanted to accomplish with them when they came out, where we liked the start of that, but as players have pointed out, suggested, requested, and given us tons of feedback about, there are a lot of other things that familiars can be doing, and you know, the best way I can describe our stance on them right now is that we are not done with them yet. Now, I see that Necrocron 2001 is asking why the familiars aren't attacking. I actually have animations and flashes turned off on my account right now because we have at least a few players who have sensitivity to screen flashes and other things, and so basically my familiars are appearing a lot less active because of that. If you go in here, and bear with me if this bothers you, see, there they are, and like, it just makes the screen a lot more hyperactive and busy than I prefer personally, so I just have it off. That way it's just kind of chill, and also hopefully if anybody's watching with sensitivity to flashing lights or strobing or anything like that, this doesn't bother them. Yeah, so I can get into the actual questions now, and I noticed that, and I'm sorry about this, Captain Nerl, if you're still here, because you asked this question right at the very start of the stream over an hour ago, but hey Dylan, can we have Wolfgar now please? I feel like right now is Catti-brie's time to shine. Her event is still running, and so releasing Wolfgar right now would be totally premature, and but he will be a part of the party by the end of this year. You know, granted, this year has quite a few months left in it. But yes, Wolfgar is coming to Idle Champions eventually. You figured us out. The fifth companion of the hall will make an appearance. Yes, it'll happen. I also see that way back, Silisa asked about whether or not the Strix aura can be extended to the full screen to alleviate the screen resolution differences. All I can say about that is that I know that addressing that is something that Mark is working on. I don't know. I don't have any more information on it. That's one of those things that I will probably find out is addressed at the same time as everybody else. It'll be in the changelog for a patch. But it's, yes, we noticed. I'm not quite sure exactly how it's going to be addressed, but it is going to be. Iwa Kichka, is it intentional to not apply upgrades when leveling up champions by 5, 25, 100 levels at a time, or should I throw that in the suggestion Discord? You should throw it in the suggestion Discord because it doesn't purchase the upgrades as you level. Certainly if you bought 100 levels and you went right past one or more specializations, it's just like you keep clicking down. But you know, I think it's just, and this is my personal opinion before I get into it, I think it's just an example of we thought of the feature in its use in a completely different way than we do now, because obviously with the upgrade button, it's kind of like that's what we use. You just hit the upgrade button. Now I can put this gazer on Catti-brie. Actually, maybe she wants a fairy instead. Yeah, it's, you know, because we didn't look at it that way before. And like adding the button that allows you to purchase all the levels in between where you are and the next upgrade, and then also that upgrade as well, came from a suggestion, and the other buttons on here just aren't the same. So we'll get there. Zapan28, does Dylan use Makos over Birdsong because of all the gear he has? I use Makos over Birdsong in the formation that I was just using, because of I yield the results I get. What's the word I was going to look for? Like my Makos also has really good gear, and my Birdsong might even have better gear, but I only tend to use Birdsong when I use a Birdsong formation, and for some of the, like Tomb of Annihilation, I definitely use Birdsong. But for the running, I've been using Makos instead, just because it's easier to apply a great buff. I've been having Dadius in range of my Strix for DPS instead of, because I don't have Calliope, because I have Barrowin adjacent to Strix, and I have Regis as the instead of Celeste. So it's just kind of, yeah. I mean, obviously everybody's going to use formations best suited to the equipment that they have, but yeah, I use Makos and Birdsong just at different times. Sweet Rad. Hey, will old champs be available later? I keep hearing about Birdsong, but I started playing when Strix was introduced. They will be. So they will be available in more than one way. There will be the way in which they are available. Sorry, my brain totally wandered for a second there. Events will come around again. Not every event necessarily, but they events are intended to come around. Some of our events will become annual events that happen every year. But even if, say, hypothetically, High Harvest Tide didn't come around again this year, we would still make Stokey available through whatever's going on, something around that time. So everybody will get their opportunity to get characters again. At the same time, we will eventually be adding an additional feature where you can get characters outside their events, and also equip them. But I don't have anything to share about that yet, Sweet Rad, so we will get there. Alright, I got a long question here from Silisa that I might not actually have an answer to. What is the reasoning on why Catti-brie's Mark for Death can't be applied more than once to a monster, not simultaneously? After it converts to a stun, she's nearly useless. As a follow-up question, why do stun monsters not take additional damage or get auto-crit? Those are interesting points. Now, I don't know that I can get more information about that from Justin right now, but I can look into it. So I'm just going to make a note, Silisa, and we will see what we get after the stream. Codename. Are there any game-related news or updates that you can share with us today? What can I share? It's funny because a lot of information about the game is embargoed for one reason or another. So for those who might not be aware, if you are a licensee partner with Wizards of the Coast for a Dungeons & Dragons related product or game, you are also under NDA for a lot of things. And so there's a lot of stuff you can't talk about. That's why when Lauren and I started our conversation at the beginning, we didn't get into the Stream of Many Eyes because because we were both under NDA, and there are still a number of things about that event that we're not able to talk about, and quite a few more that we just don't know yet. So there are aspects there that we're unable to share. And then when it comes to Idle Champions and characters and things that we're working on, there are other things that we can't get into. A lot of features we don't want to talk about too much in advance because they might change. Like, I have heard from Justin at least one version of how he might approach the tanking and healing update, and it was a pretty radical idea, and I have no idea if that's actually what he's going to end up doing, because he might not. He might approach it a completely different way. And so we also don't, we want to minimize the amount of unintentional misinformation we put out there by not sharing things before we're pretty certain about them, which unfortunately a lot of the time ends up meaning that people get information 10 minutes before it's live. Yeah, NDAs are an interesting thing, Garwar, Lauren, we're all familiar with what they're like. So there are things that we can't share. And so as an example, there is a lot of content in this event and in the most recent few events that are related to things that are in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Now, some of that is announced. Like if you follow D&D Beyond, you've seen interviews with Mike Merles and Jeremy Crawford talking about all kinds of things from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, from the history of the Raven Queen and the Shatterkai and other aspects of the elves, to a number of other things. So like at this point, we have a whole bunch of Eladrin in our event. Eladrin have not officially been in a 5e book that is out in stores yet, but they will be. And we try to stick to 5e as much as possible. So like, the aesthetic of the Eladrin are taken from an upcoming book in this event. But there's other stuff that we won't be able to really get into much. So basically, if you are familiar with 5th edition D&D, certainly you've read the Monsters Manual, you've read Volo's Guide to Monsters. If you see a monster in our game that you don't recognize, there's a good chance that it's coming from an upcoming product. So that's probably the best thing I can give there. Now, in terms of news about our game, I think that the next 2 champions we add to the game after Catti-brie, I mean, I love Catti-brie, and I'm stoked to have another member of the Companions of the Hall in the game. I think the next 2 champions might excite our fans and our players more than any previous, except perhaps Strix. Strix's. I mean, who doesn't love Holly Conrad and Strix? They are the same person. Holly Conrad is Strix, I think. But other than Strix, I think people are going to get very, very excited about the characters that come next, because they will be a hint of things to come that I think should get everyone excited. Yeah. Mop 314159. Yes, Eladrin mentioned in the DMG, but there is a lot more subclass information that was tested in the Unearthed Arcana, and then, as has been mentioned, there's a lot more information that's in MTF. Ouch, poor Holly. I have to assume she smells better. Strix and Barrow are going to be hard to beat. Well, the other thing is that we also we expect some upcoming characters to also be a shape of an idea of some other how things can be changed too. So yes, Giant Dwarf, I am saying that Idle Champions of Forgotten Realms is a little bit of a teaser of upcoming books. Yeah, it's funny. Skirting that line between what I can say and what I can't is tough, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But yes, we've featured a number of monsters. Obviously, I think anybody who's really tuned in to the this D&D channel has probably likely heard of quite a bit of the content from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes at this point. I mean, they've had however many weeks of battles going on they've also, there have been different websites that have been given some pages to share. There was one in I can't remember if it was Polygon or who shared something about halflings today. There's a lot of stuff coming out. So yeah, what else can I share about the game? I'm trying to think. Yeah, everybody wants some spoilers. Well, I definitely won't be streaming as spoiling anything related to Stream of Many Eyes because Tito has put a lot of work into it. Kitty Big Butt asking what percentage of players have unlocked Almirage. That's a really interesting question. I have no idea. We'll pass that one along. I'm gonna have to think about on what I could potentially spoil that won't get anybody in trouble or ruffle too many feathers about the game. So I'll have to think on that for a bit and get back to you. Bigham. Money's worth. Has the team ever thought about making it so that the shop chest room has a pile of gold within its vault that potentially scales with the party's gold or divine favor? You can see a few spare coins lying around, and I thought this would be a cool idea. It is a cool idea. Pyan Fear. What's the story behind the two-headed rat mounted on the wall in the Mad Wizard? That is a question for Alexis. I have no idea, but Alexis draws our backgrounds. It might have been included in the adventure notes, in which case it would be something that Justin, Dave, or one of our other writers has contributed. Mad Wizard was probably Justin or Dave, actually, because that's a little further back, that one. Chat with Nathan, he loves spoiling things. I feel like he can spoil whatever he wants, and I definitely cannot. Hari78. Range champions randomly stop just inside or outside of Strix's aura. This can be annoying, resetting an area until the range boss decides to go close enough. Any plans to change that? I don't think so. I think that, to paraphrase something that Justin said a long time ago on stream about range champions, we kind of want players to feel the panic, unease, and other associated feelings with a ranged character attacking them that they do when they're playing D&D, where they're like, oh shoot, I need to close the distance and deal with that issue. So honestly, just use ults. It sucks that Strix's debuff doesn't get them, but yeah, ranged characters are dangerous that way. I don't think that we're planning to make any changes around it. Lucothia. Catti Alone. Is Catti Alone a reference to the fantasy novel Titus Alone? That's a very good question for Justin. I don't know what he was thinking when he got it, but my assumption would be yes. Yeah. Maybe Erica can get me a follow-up on that one. OG17. Is copying text from the game chat on anyone's radar? Chat's naturally full of codes, screenshots, thread links, etc. that are way less useful than they should be. We don't have any plans to do that, and as I understand it, doing something like that is like really tricky to code because of Unity. So yeah, we'll have to wait until either Dave or Justin or somebody is on stream, and then you can poke them about that again. I mean, I can make a note here, but I don't know if anything further will happen. Baron Stromgard. Any chance things like the deer or rabbit in the variants for this event could become permanent champions? Oh, so you just want an adjacent deer that gives you a 400% DPS increase? So just about every single champion offers more party buffs than that. So I don't know why you would prefer to use a deer or rabbit instead. So it's unlikely that they'll become permanent champions, but I like that you asked. If High Harvestide doesn't come around again, how will you handle the achievements for those of us who started it? I was using that as a hypothetical. I don't know that we will. I don't know that we will or won't cancel High Harvestide. It's more that and this is just my feeling here because I feel like we had a lot of winter events, and that the chances of us doing that many winter events again are slim. I think we will probably maybe trim one, so because we can always do another event in its place or something else at the same time. Going back to Leucothea asking if Catti Alone is a reference to the fantasy novel Titus Alone. Justin said no, but if it makes him seem smarter, then yes. So yes. Let's see. What else we got? What's next? Darth Details. I like that. Would you show us what equipment levels you have for Catti-brie right now as you were doing this? Sure, absolutely. My Catti-brie is alright. Level 9, Heart-Seeking Quiver, rare. Level 9, Inscribed Copper Breastplate, rare. Level 5, Mastercraft Hair Clip. Ah, stupid fairy. Level 15, Embellished Dagger. Golden level 11, Mithril Embedded Bracers. And then epic level 19, Talmorel. That's lucky. Yeah, my Catti-brie is about 10 chests worth of Catti-brie. So if you want your Catti-brie to be as good as mine, you can purchase the $10 thing, and yours will also have a shiny, unlike mine. So yeah, Catti-brie is pretty low key at the moment for me. I hope that helps. Darth Details. Moose Changer Pat. Why is it that they changed it so Baron's buff no longer buffs ults? I miss being able to actually use ults in a formation with Barrowin. It was not intended to buff ults because it was making ults absolutely ridiculous at the time. They were just, yeah. Not unlike when Krond was released, where you could just ult your way through a number of levels past your wall. Yeah, that was unintended. It was never intended that they buff ults. Now that being said, we're not entirely happy with Barrowin, so I don't know if she'll be reworked or nerfed or how Justin's going to approach her in the balancing patch, but she presents a number of issues, and so we're really not sure what we'll do. Koani asking if I support the game by buying chests. I've actually purchased quite a few things in the game. And then for everything else, I do have admin privileges. I can just give myself something if I really wanted to. Phil Z12. What about making a hero that their ultimate or set level specialty pulls in mobs? That's something we haven't done yet. It's an idea. We may do it. It's funny. I only really know for certain what the next couple characters are, but Justin plans out way further in advance. Like, he's working with some much longer lists of characters and looking at, multi-year plans and so on and so forth. So it might be that he already has plans to do something like that with the hero. But I haven't heard that suggestion before, Phil Z12, so thank you for it. I will pass it along. Royal Gentleman, any plans for a different kind of event? Something different than a few variants and a champion or weekend buffs? Nothing to share. Which I know isn't helpful, but yeah, I don't have anything else to share. But yes, I wouldn't say that the blueprint for events that we have more or less refined since coming out is a set in stone blueprint that is reflective of all future events for all time. Yeah, I mean, certainly, when we do year 2 of any event, we're going to be doing some different things in terms of the next tier of event content. So stay tuned, I guess, is the best thing I can say about that, Royal Gentleman. I just need a drink for a second. Hold on. Colette, it's hard to see on my screen, but it looks like Regis has 5 shinies. That seems like a lot of chests for an event champion. Does your staff account have additional goodies? I got a ridiculous number of potions of polish when that patch went live. For purchases I had made before I was actually an employee of Codename Entertainment. So yes, my Regis has 3 shinies and 2 golden epics. He's got one slot that's missing it, and it's the ultimate attack damage, which I don't know, whatever. But yes, my Regis is doing pretty good. Anybody? We have a number of players who do actually actively purchase the $50 event chests, because that guarantees a golden epic and 5 shiny items across all their. They basically fully deck out whichever champion it is as soon as they come out. In which case, those players have way better gear than I do. But that being said, my staff account has access to goodies. If I wanted to give myself everything or nothing, I could. Kitty Big Butt, are there any players that have more than 1,000 hours who haven't picked up Hitch? I have no idea. Maybe Erica will be able to source an answer to that, but I doubt it. That would be looking, yeah. I don't know if it's possible for us to look that up in terms of how information is stored and how we go through the system. But I don't know. I could pass it along. I'll ask the devs after the stream's over and see if I can't get an answer. Magenta Shirt. How about when a shiny item gets another shiny upgrade, it becomes golden. And when a golden gets a shiny upgrade, you get a potion of shininess. And then the golden gets a golden upgrade, you get a potion of golden polish. This way, folks get fully golden event characters if they're dedicated enough to buy that many chests. Probably not. Yeah. I'll have to wait for a Justin stream for a more in-depth answer on why things are designed the way that they are. But yeah, that's not something that we're intending to do. Right now, like, I do know that shiny items were not intended to be necessarily like a path of progression. It was more like a bonus sometimes, like, oh, and your item is shiny and it's even better. Something like, really, really rare, like it's, something that doesn't happen very frequently. And that is reflected by the drop rate, which is very low. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna set it up so that if you got another shiny item, it would turn an item into a gold. I don't. That is not currently in our plans. GU Comics. Is it the same GU Comics who posts the comic strips that like the one where where the people were walking pelvis forward and those other ones? Because I like those. GU Comics are good. So since this game is called Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, can we expect an Idle Champions of insert another IP? That's funny. I don't know that you can. I think that... I don't know that the next game that Codename Entertainment does will be a idle game. Or an idle game. Granted, I'm not privy to the discussions at the high level that Dave, Justin, and Eric have about what the direction for the next game is going to be or what we're going to approach to do. But personally, I would be surprised if we did another idle game, because this is our second idle game, and we love this game, and we're really happy with how it's coming together. And like, we're going to live service it for as long as we're allowed to. Like, we have years of content ideas and stuff planned. But I don't know if we'll be doing another idle game after this. So, yeah. MMO from CNE confirmed, Garwar. Yeah, we have enough people to build an MMO. Idle Champions of Fortnite. Yeah. Alright, let's have a look at this variant. All these people talking who aren't in the party, except it's just Catti-brie. It's all Catti-brie. Area 175. Triple attack speed, 10-second ult cooldown, damage increased by 40% per area. Oh wow. Interesting. Well, yeah. More back mid, way back. Yeah. See Midrifty, will it be a Dungeons and Dragons game? I definitely can't talk about that. But I think that Eric would love to do that, and I don't know. I mean, we really like working with Wizards of the Coast, like working with the D&D team. I mean, everybody I know who's a fan of Dungeons and Dragons tends to be like a very passionate fan of it. But I don't know that any of them love D&D as much as the D&D team does. Like, they put their money where their mouths are. Like they put everything into this game, and it shows. New D&D game confirmed. Very cool. Yeah. I don't know. I honestly, at this point, I don't think like no code has been written for any follow-up titles to this. This is our game that we're focused on right now. So, Necrocron 2001. What I love about you guys since I play Idle is the streams. It's nice to see faces, to hear voices, and not only get some patch notes. Much love for you all. Oh, thank you, Necrocron. That's why I'm here. I know I look like I haven't slept because I haven't, but we are glad that taking the time to to stream and spend time with our audience means something to you as well as it does us. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's really fun to be a part of the D&D community. Obviously, like Lauren is often in chat for our stream, and it's so incredibly helpful. And but it's also fun to pop in with you pop into the Maze Arcana show and start chatting with everybody, or sometimes Rudy or Satine will pop up in ours, and it's we've had Holly on stream, and we just kind of really enjoy the community that is the D&D community on Twitch. It's really a lot of fun to be here. So yeah, and I almost segued into a spoiler for something else, and I'm glad that I didn't. So yeah. Whoever it was who suggested the idea of a Critical Role dating simulator made me laugh on the inside, but I didn't acknowledge it because I was already talking about something else. But that's funny. Also, we don't own Critical Role, and neither does Wizards. So, that would be on them. Yeah, Lauren, I imagine Satine will be popping up a lot more frequently with her new job. For those who may have missed the news, I think it was yesterday on Twitter was where I first saw it. Satine has officially joined the Wizards of the Coast team. I think she's the community manager for Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not quite sure what her actual title is, but I remember seeing that she had joined the team and seeing a picture of her in front of the ampersand with a beardless Greg Tito that really weirded me out until I realized that the beard was gone. Yeah. So yeah, we're just so stoked that Satine is on the team. They couldn't have picked somebody better for it. Very cool. Why is it so hard to get patch notes out of the devs? I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, everything goes into the change log, unless it's something that somebody forgets to put in. But that doesn't that's pretty rare, actually. So yeah. Social engagement. So she is a community manager, Lauren. Cool. Yeah. I mean, it's a perfect role for Satine. She's gonna kill it. And if anybody can do that on top of, DMing and producing multiple Maze Arcana shows and making an insane number of appearances and doing videos on how to be a better DM and being a general community leader for Dungeons and Dragons and writing content for DM's Guild. She can. So, yeah, cool. Seaman Rifty, we need the updated emoticons now that Tito is shaved. Yeah, it's so weirded me out seeing Tito without a beard. But to be honest, I mean, it looks less awkward on him than it would on me if I shaved this off. I am not going to shave this off. I might trim it at some point. Yeah. Community manager, but it's social engagement, so she does social engagement. Okay, cool. Yeah, she's gonna be awesome at it. Oh, this is interesting. So what happens when the fire goes past you? Does it disappear? Probably should have been clicking this, hey? Or is it gonna send me back a level? I just noticed that this is happening. Okay, it's not. Cool. Alright, I guess I'm just gonna have to hit 1 over and over again while this is going. I need to remove the familiars? Okay. Back in your hole. Plop. I got this. I'll just hit 1 periodically. Nomad84. Hypothetically speaking, if a change to the journal was made which allowed players to easily review the story conversations for completed variants, would that also be available for events? That's a really interesting idea. I don't know. My guess would be no for events. Yeah, because it would just it would show a whole bunch of stuff that maybe not. I don't know, Nomad84. You've stumped me. I'm gonna pass that one along and maybe I'll get an answer. Ryuki X. When will these characters that older players have come around again? I'm a new player and I feel like I may be at a disadvantage due to me missing other champions that seem like they won't come around again. All characters will come around again, and we will be adding ways to get them outside of their events. Yeah. Kenjia 190 2001. Is there a chance to have heroes from other D&D games like Neverwinter Nights? There's always a chance. If a character is owned by Wizards of the Coast, the chances are greater. And if they're popular, they're even greater than that. But I can't really say much more. Looks like our last raffle is underway. So good luck, everyone. This, I believe, is for a Nayeli starter pack DLC. The first premium DLC we produced for the game. So it comes with a lot of chests. Like a lot of chests. As well as, decking out Nayeli and probably even maybe some potions of polish too. I can't remember if that got implemented. But yeah, a lot of chests. So good luck. That's going to be cool. I'm just letting Garwar dictate how I play right now. Yeah. As much as I want to spoil the universe of the next... oh, wait, what do we got? Next 4 attacks hit for 100% more, or increases critical hit damage. Which one's better? I'm going to do follow-up. GU Comics, he helps me play a lot. Yeah, no doubt, hey? Oh, my neck. Sorry, I'm so stiff. I've been sitting in the same position the whole time I'm on, and it's actually kind of chilly in here, so I'm getting even stiffer, so to speak. Oh, there goes that health bar. Boom. Dead drow. Wow. E23 damage at level 50, huh? By herself. That Catti-brie is a badass. I mean, as she should be. Actually, here's a spoiler I can give. We will be doing the first teaser for our next champion starting next week. And so it's going to be quite a bit in advance of the next champion coming out. But we wanted to what's the word I'm looking for? We wanted to give people the time to appreciate a bit of a hype build up for who the next character is going to be. And we are very stoked. It's definitely an office favorite, I would say. The next one that's coming. What's my Catti-brie's crit chance? Let me see. I gotta move this stupid fairy again because it's over top of the thing. Increases the chance for critical hit to crit by 158.4%. So it's maxed. Yeah. Yeah. I'm spoiling the spoiler. Yeah. I'm spoiling that there's going to be a teaser. Yeah, I know. God, that's so half-assed to me. Can I do better than that? I can't do anything related to that or that. I can say that while we are at Stream of Many Eyes, we will be doing some really fun social media. At least we think it's really fun. And we will be sharing a lot of things. Certainly much more so than we regularly do. I know that's also pretty vague, but yeah. Sorry, it's just every time I try to think of can we spoil anything? It's well, no. My job is to not spoil things, but I would like to talk about things. So, yeah. Yeah. So, teasing a teaser. Yeah, teasing the first tease, which is funny. but yeah, all people will know who the next character is next week. Actually, no, I'll tease something. Our next update will be additional adventures, not additional variants. Well, specifically, it'll probably be variants as well, but it's additional adventures. We are going to be taking one of our campaigns further. So, yeah, that's a little bit of patch info about next week. But I don't I don't know what day it's going to come on, because while we target Wednesdays for our releases, but a lot of the time, you know, depending on what kind of technology is being added and how well the testing goes and how quickly things come together, it may or may not be out on time, you know, which is why we had a decent number of events come out on Thursdays instead of Wednesdays. So, yeah. Let's see. Kitty Big Butt. Is it possible to be more descriptive on the Steam side of things when you purchase event chests? Right now, the purchase history just says 3 event chests or 7 event chests. Is it possible to list which event they came from? I don't know that it is. Whenever it's something to do with Steam, it's you think that Wizards has NDAs and doesn't want you to talk about things. Steam is worse. I have no idea, Kitty Big Butt, but I'm going to add that to my list to tackle. Maybe Peter could answer it, or Justin, or Dave. OG17. Has anyone said anything about an option to disable dialogue in non-introductory adventure variants? Every adventure starts with a Reach Area X variant that's great for reading dialogue, and if you want it again, there's free plays, but making players go through it in every variant distracts from the actual variant properties. Okay, so right now the only feature that we have is the one where you can disable it in free plays, but we don't have it for variants. I don't know that anybody has said anything about it, but it's something that I've also noticed, and I don't know, I'll have to ask about it, because there must be a reason why we have it. It's certainly made that running the swords variant in like 30 minutes a lot more challenging. So yeah. Zapman28, any chance that the pity epic on event chests could be lowered to maybe 7-ish so that we can always get an epic for the event champion? Also unrelated, what's your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bad guy? I don't know that we're going to lower I think it's extremely unlikely that we're going to lower the pity timer for gold chests. Yeah. I think something that the community could push for that is much more likely to happen would be pushing for some kind of pity timer related to event free play chests. You know, wait for the sounds of Justin creeping up on me when I say that. Just because, I mean, you guys have actually quite a lot of power with how we develop the game. And quite a few of our features and quality of life improvements and other things have all been directly based on feedback. I mean, you guys got Justin to change his mind from no more bonds ever for Ashara to, you know, while we didn't add more to the bond list, we added another bond list, and like that's a thing. That's because people asked for it. So, you know, I doubt we're going to lower our pity timer on gold chests ever. But what you could do is, you know, start asking for a pity timer on event free play chests. Now those are event free play chests specifically. If everybody submits a ticket, then you're probably just going to get me fired, Baron Stromgard, so don't do that, because that would be super irritating. But feedback that comes back over and over again that our players are persistent about is the stuff that you can eventually make something happen. You know, we are not immovable objects here. So, Delberton, what does the game currently use the in-game notifications to tell you about updates? Or sorry, does it? I added a what there. It does now. It never used to, but we only started doing that with the most recent updates. Baron Stormguard again. Are new adventures the only thing in the next patch, or might there be some unspecified other improvements? Maybe, maybe not. That's one of those things. I mean, it's clever. It's clever asking a question to try and get me to spoil a little bit more information. I'll just say that there's new adventures. anything else that makes it into that patch is gravy. A lot of those extra things are things that are being worked on ongoing, and then like we hope that they'll make it in, but like yeah, just kind of chipping away at it. I mean, we have a pretty small team here, and it takes us some time to get through some of those things. So yeah, that's the last question I currently have on my list. I know there's a number of them that I didn't get to that I made notes of, and so hopefully I will be able to get answers for them for another time. In the meantime, I didn't see who won the Nayeli pack, but congratulations to whomever it was. Thank you so much for watching our stream, and a huge thanks and virtual hugs to Lauren Urban for joining us on our stream this week. You know, and of course, thanks again to Wizards of the Coast for hosting us, and thank you for watching. Waffle Talk is coming up in just over an hour at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, followed by Holly Conrad's Trapped in a Birdcage at 5, and of course, Critical Role at 7. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and thank you so much for watching.